You're listening to Real with Coach Herb and B, a podcast that brings you community and culture with your host, Coach Herb and B.
The way Knicks fans cried in this building for defense. They need it right here with 7:23 left. Man to man, Ewing, quadruple team. Jackson keeps it alive on the dribble.
Underneath was Reggie Williams all alone. Got it to him too late.
Reggie looking for a career high. He's got it. 23 points for Williams.
Not late enough for St. John.
Season.
Reggie Williams nails the three.
Now, Pete, the regular season they shot 28%. They're almost at 50% now.
Lost the ball, got it back, comes up empty. Rebound. Pulled away by Abdul Rauf after the loose ball. Up to LaFonso Ellis. Ellis over in the corner. Reggie Williams, another three. What is going on here in Denver?
Hey, what's happening, y'all? This is Coach Herb, and I'm always joined by my girl B, and
hey, y'all.
In the background is Mr. Ben as usual, and we are joined by a very special guest, Mr. Reggie Williams.
Yes,
how you doing today,
Thank you
Reggie?
for coming.
Pretty good.
Did you grow up with a nickname, Silky Smooth? What was it?
It was Russ.
Russ? Okay.
That's because of my uncle. Similar like, so when I was growing up, you little Gary, his name was Gary, but they also call him Russ. So they called me that for my whole entire childhood. And
Okay,
Nice.
yeah.
So, Mr. Reggie, I want you to introduce yourself, tell the world about yourself, what you do, where you are, where you came from.
Well, I'm originally from Baltimore, Maryland. I grew up there. I have, 5 siblings. My mother, my whole family went to Dunbar High School. So I wound up going to Dunbar High School. That was in Baltimore at the 50s, 60s. There only was 2 high schools, Dunbar on the east side and Douglas on the west.
Yeah, Douglas.
I had many high schools to go to, but, I was from the east, pretty much East Baltimore. So I wound up going there from junior high school. And but before I got there, I grew up, with 2 parents. They separated. So we moved into an area, a community where I met Muggsy Bogues at the 10. And we were interested in basketball, but we wrestled, we played baseball, we did everything. So I made the choice. I started growing. That's why I started playing basketball, because I was in love with baseball, the Baltimore Hoya. I wanted to be a baseball player. So, but I grew real fast. So, I had a mentor in Leon Howard.
Okay.
Communities, and he had coached and developed other players. Some legends, Baltimore legends. Larry Gibson.
Yes.
Wise, who also was from the same area. Went to Dunbar, so he was a guy who was a recreation head, and he just had interest in guys because he loved basketball. He played basketball with Curly Neal of the Globetrotters at there's a school in Charlotte, Johnson C. Smith.
Yes.
So he had all this footwork, and he was a short, chubby guy, and beat us all in 1-on-1 and wouldn't move from the foul line. And once you developed and beat him, that's when you moved on and knew you was a good player, because he had all the tricks and he wouldn't move one spot. He stayed on the foul line, and he used to kill us. And
Uh-huh.
laugh at us, and he was maybe 5'10", and
Oh, wow.
heavy guy, and he used to wear our butts out, man. So he every day he used to have us in there doing drills with footwork, pump fakes, all types of things. And so that was the basic, the foundation of my basketball career.
Okay.
My career. So I went to Dunbar. We had a successful career over there. Last week we lost 3, and that was my sophomore year. We was 24-3, and the next 2 years we were 59-0.
Right.
Oh.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
A lot of losing until I went to the pros. But in Georgetown was pretty successful. We won a national championship there. We won a national championship in high school. I just didn't get it in professional basketball. But it was a good ride. It was a good ride. I played with players like David Wingate.
Yes.
Tim Dawson, he went to GW and then Miami. And then a lot of other guys followed us. Reggie Lewis, the late Reggie Lewis played with us.
Yes.
Northeastern, and then, started in the Boston Celtics. So we had a lot of players during that period of time.
Mm-hmm.
I have one little quick question about a certain gentleman, Michael Graham.
Michael Graham.
So I've heard a few stories about how students on campus would kind of be afraid of him a little bit. Like he wasn't just intimidating on the basketball court. He was intimidating everywhere he went.
Well, Michael was my roommate. Michael, he was intimidating on the court. Off the court, he was cool.
Yeah.
He was cool. I mean, he was from Southeast DC, and we used to, talk about different things. But that was a misconception of Michael.
Oh, really? Yeah, because I was hearing stories that I was like,
he wasn't menacing on campus, because Big John would have got him.
Yeah, exactly. I think the only person that he was afraid of was Big John.
He was afraid of Big John. But he was a cool person. Got along with everybody. A real good nature about him, off the court. But on the court, it was a different story.
I mean, I was afraid watching him play against other teams. I was like, man, I would not want to face him.
Yeah, and Mike, he wasn't going to be out there a long time. But if he was out there 10 minutes, he was creating havoc.
Yes. Yes. And then there was a few other guys. So you said you played high school ball with Muggsy. How was that? Because he obviously turned his career into a pretty successful one in the pros and everything. He went to Wake Forest. That's right. Yeah, and he was a tough little guy, man.
Yeah. He played 15 years in the pros. I was trying to get Coach Thompson to get him to come to Georgetown, but small guys at that size,
right?
People didn't want to take chances on him. And Coach, I remember Coach, saying that he didn't want to get fired. I said, "You're not gonna get fired. You got to get this guy." I mean, he was 5'3", but
right.
he was
moving
6'3", because he played all those years in the pros. And they couldn't post him up.
Right.
You don't see games people posting Muggsy up. Even in high school, he was muscular for his size, and he had the heart of a lion. And he just didn't go for it. And he left it out there with his talent for 15 years. So I was telling Coach, I was trying to promote my man. Right.
Get him to Georgetown, which would have been great to see too, because he was a tough guy.
Mm-hmm.
And then he stayed, and then he played locally. He played for the Wizards.
Got drafted by the Wizards. I think the pick was 17 or 19, somewhere around there, first round.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. To piggyback off of that, so I know I'm getting into nostalgia right now, but if you were in this era, how quickly would you have leapfrogged into the league? Do you think you would have been a one and done, or do you think you would have been a just a couple of years into?
Yeah, in this era, probably one and done because of the way basketball is played today.
Mm-hmm.
It's up and down. It's like a pinball machine.
Yeah.
Down. Very little defense. The teams that play defense wins the championship.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like in college, you'll play a little more defense because the coaches, their jobs on the line. But pro basketball during the regular season, it's not a whole lot of defense. If teams like Milwaukee today or the Lakers or the Clippers, they do play defense. You'll get a few teams and they will be the dominant teams in the league. But if you didn't play defense, yes, it would probably be one and done for me, and getting up for shooting threes, things I love to do anyway. So
yeah, you probably would have averaged like 35 points a game.
Yeah, it's a new age of basketball. I mean, it's not that it's bad, but it's a new age of basketball.
It's just different.
Yeah, totally different.
Not to
All
go
right, Mr.
back.
Ben, what we got here?
I want to ask one question before you start, Ben, real quick.
Go for it.
How was it, not to go back, but how was it playing for John Thompson? Rest his soul.
Rest his soul.
Because he's a legend. Like, how was it to be able to be around him all the time, learn from him on a regular basis, right, throughout your college years, and have that support? Because I know that he was very supportive towards young Black men in the community, but just young men in general. And he was always looking to help them succeed and excel, right? Pull them out of the bottom, make them go to the top, right? Yeah. So how was that?
It was tough going to Georgetown because the practices, Coach Thompson's status, he was loud every day, very demanding. And, we didn't like Coach Thompson because when we went in there for that 3 to 4 hours, it was like hell. But when we came out of there, we was a unit put together. We had to, we didn't have a whole lot of freedom. He kept us really close, especially on road trips. If they had a scheduled hotel for us, we would stay an hour away. So he didn't want any kind of problems as far as, you going out and doing things that you shouldn't be doing as college, 18 to 22 or whatever. So he kept everything pretty tight knit. But he was a tough guy, but he was a fair guy. And if you listen, you would learn. If you was hard-headed, you probably wouldn't be at Georgetown very long. So as far as that, it was like a military, but with a little bit more freedom. But he knew what it took to get to what we wanted. And we wanted to be good. We wanted to win championships. And he played in the system with the Boston Celtics as a young player under Bill Russell. So he learned a whole lot from Bill Russell and Red Auerbach, who played those championships in Boston. So he brought it to Georgetown. Toughness, skill. Not that we were labeled back in those days as being tough or dirty, but it was hard play.
Right.
We knew if we got on your nerves that we kind of won the game before the game started. It was like Mike Tyson as a boxer. He created all this hysterical type of stuff, and before you got in the ring with him, you was defeated.
Right.
So that's how we played it at Georgetown. And as far as young Black men, he was a mentor to a lot of us, and he guided you in the right direction, taught you the ropes and things like that. So.
Yeah.
Cool.
So cool.
Well, Reggie, you had mentioned growing up in Baltimore. Could you expand upon that, of what it was like growing up in Baltimore? I feel you hear a lot about players talk about their upbringing and how it really shaped and molded them as the person or man they become, as well as maybe even their playing style. I feel like you see, I know that guy probably came from or played under because of their style of play. So could you kind of talk to us about what growing up in Baltimore meant to you in your career?
It meant a whole lot to me. We were in the city. It was a lot of back in those days, the early days, there was a lot of drugs surrounding us. But our drug was basketball, and we wanted to go to Dunbar. We wanted to go to college, and and whatever. And if it was professional, that was gravy to us. And we navigated through all that stuff. Muggsy, myself, just like I said, we grew up since the age of 10, and the guys, the street guys knew we were players, so they never approached us with anything. They pushed us away. So you can't touch those guys. So we were it was that's when drugs were really bad. The crack epidemic came, and we really wasn't into it. We were so focused on basketball that nothing was going to get in our way. But we came out of it. We persevered, and became great young men, great basketball players, and we did what we wanted to do. And we were examples to the generation behind us.
Right. Yeah.
So
go ahead, Ben.
No, I was just going to say, so, kind of leading perfectly into the next question, it does sound like basketball wasn't necessarily just an escape for you. Like you wanted to get out of the area that you grew up in. It was a passion of yours, and it was just a great tool to take you to that next level that you wanted to naturally accomplish playing the sport.
Yes, I didn't. We didn't look at it. I didn't look at it as an escape. And I just loved playing basketball. Before I made the choice of playing basketball out of the other sports. We used to watch the 76ers when Dr. J
Yes
to the NBA from the ABA, and
right.
So but we didn't know that the game was delayed. Back in the late 90s.
Yeah.
People don't know that, and they would have played the game earlier that day and then put them on. And we used to, think we were at the Spectrum when we went to the Recreation Center because, the Spectrum, that's all we knew. Boston and Philly going at it, or Boston, Philly, and Milwaukee. They were the three teams.
Yeah, those teams.
Going at it. Herb know about it.
Yes, sir. I was a big 76ers fan because of that, like Dr. J.
One hand shot, Lloyd B. Free, all those guys, man.
Oh, yeah.
Sixers fans, and the games were delayed. They came on earlier, so the scores, but we didn't know that until later on. But we just love basketball, and we said we wanted to get, we want to do that. They having fun, we want to do that. So
yeah,
we paved the way, and we walked that walk, and it became reality.
That's cool. That's
Sweet.
cool.
Yeah.
I know. Like you said, growing up, we used to do the same thing. Just watching those games just made you fall in love with the sport of basketball. So you said you played other sports. So what was like your basically a top 3 sports that you played? Did you play any football, or really more mainly?
Baseball as a pitcher.
Okay.
Pitcher had the curves and all that stuff. Football, not tackle football, flag football, and I put it like a quarterback.
Oh, okay.
So, when I went to high school, Coach Wade didn't let me play football.
I know. It's very, very interesting times, growing up back then. Like football was cool, but all the guys that, wanted to look cool or anything like that would either choose basketball. Baseball was okay.
Yeah, it was okay.
Yeah. I watched it, but I didn't understand a lot of it. I'm not from the States, so when I first witnessed any sport was really basketball and football.
Okay.
I saw a lot of African Americans playing those sports, so I kind of gravitated towards that versus playing, but I grew up playing soccer, so it was a little different.
Footwork.
Yeah, footwork. It's the best sport in the world. I don't care what anybody says.
Similar to basketball because you had the positions, the forwards.
Yeah.
So that's why I think Olajuwon and Patrick, they came from soccer.
Yes.
That's footwork and basketball.
Yep.
Now,
What you got,
Reggie,
Mr. Ben?
would you, talking about the high school days and other sports and things like that, could you attribute any one thing that kind of led to the successful seasons that you mentioned at the beginning of the episode when you kind of talked about I think it was 59-0? I mean, no big deal. It's just a perfect
Right?
season.
You said it very nonchalantly.
Well,
It's
that
just,
was 2 seasons.
2 seasons. Yeah, sorry. 2 seasons ago that, no big deal.
So before I went to Georgetown, Coach Wade, he as far as physically, Coach Wade was the toughest coach I ever had because, he comes from a football background.
Okay.
He played professional football for the Pittsburgh Steelers, Washington Redskins as a DB. And, man, those practices was tough.
Yeah.
We carried bricks. We carried sandbags.
Oh.
On the back. We did jumping jacks, whatever you can name. Warming up with bricks. We sprint. We did jumping jacks. We did push-ups. So those practices was getting us prepared for games. And when we came out of that gate, we wanted to beat up on everybody. We were mad.
I remember the cinder blocks.
Yeah.
Carrying those things up the stadium stairs. Oh my God.
Couldn't drop them on the floor or your floor, or the blocks will crack. And if you crack one, you would be in trouble. So you better get a full brick and not a half a brick. Some guys will try to be slick and get a half a brick and then make the whole team pay. But they were some of the toughest practices I ever been in my life.
Oh man.
Nothing but be good.
Right.
We couldn't be nothing but be good.
Earlier you
got to run. You have to sometimes run with those bricks.
That sounds crazy.
We ran with them after the 4-hour practices. We did sprints after practice with the brick.
Yep.
Yeah. So then he
I don't know where these coaches got that from because it happened everywhere.
He tried to put sandbags, 20 to 30 pound sandbag, but everybody fell out. So he so we were glad about that.
Did you feel a lot of pressure in college after winning the championship your freshman year, to continue back to back or to get even back to that stage, not necessarily win it, but even just to, always play at that high level that you had when you came into the team as a freshman?
Yes, it was expectations. It wasn't pressure. It just was expectations because we knew we were good. We knew we put in the work. We came close to going back to back from 84 when we won it, and then 85 we lost by 2 to Villanova.
Oof.
And so we were always in the ball game. So that's all you can get. You can ask yourself, get me to the ball game and see what we can do from that point. And then my last year in 1987, we went back to the Elite Eight. We were one game from the Final Four. So we had a team that competed for championships.
Yeah, I cried in that game against Villanova, man.
I'm still crying.
I wasn't even. I hated Villanova for a long time. I don't know why. I just never liked any of those. I didn't like the coach.
Yeah,
man, I just can't stand Villanova.
They held the ball. They didn't want to play big boy basketball, so they held
right.
So if they had a shot clock, we would have got them. But they,
oh yeah.
I'm not taking anything from them, but they had to do what they had to do.
Yeah.
The ball, because we were really good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now, Coach Herb mentioned a little earlier about nicknames, and doing some of the research for the shows, I saw something pop up. Could you talk a little bit more about Reggie and the Miracles?
I didn't know about Reggie and the Miracles. Coach Thompson came up with that.
Okay.
Thompson and the Miracles, so he came up with a slogan. He always come up with something that create, craziness. So he came up with that, and it stuck. He was at the press conference. He said Reggie and the Miracles because I was the only senior, and the other guys were, underclassmen. So,
right.
But I didn't come in as the only freshman. Michael Graham came there, and I still blame him today for not being on those teams because we would have won more championships.
Yep.
So I still blame him today. And Cliff Duraso, he came from the military. He came in as an older player. And so, but both of those guys left and left me there. So that's why, Coach came up with that slogan, Reggie and the Miracles, and it stuck throughout the season.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Did you have a favorite team once you transitioned from college to the professional league? That a favorite team that you played for, possibly a favorite city, maybe you'd even playing if it's different than the team, and even a favorite coach? Because I know you did have an illustrious career in the NBA. It wasn't just one city, one town the entire time. You played many places and shared your talents with almost basically the country at that point.
Yeah. My favorite team was the Denver Nuggets. That's where I had the most success. I got drafted at the 4th pick in the first round with the Los Angeles Clippers. I like LA. LA was more of a big town. I mean, highways, nothing but highways. So you'll get lost in that city. But Denver was my best city that I played in. I played in San Antonio with David Robinson before they started winning championships. So I've been in some good places, but I say Denver is the place where I left my footprints there, with the fans, with the players and things, and that nature.
Denver is beautiful.
I didn't know anything about Denver, and just like Bianca said, Denver is beautiful. It's the cleanest place I ever been.
Right.
Yeah. Beautiful. I couldn't breathe, but I thought it was gorgeous.
Yeah, for a few months, Bianca, before you start breathing. I mean, you would have to use
I was struggling.
I mean, you would get rashes all over your back and arms and face. You had to grease up. It was crazy.
Yeah.
They had problems coming into Denver because they couldn't breathe. Like Olajuwon didn't never have a good game there because he always oxygen.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It was that's why we were always good at home. We were 28. We win 28 games out of the 41. So it was 2-hour advantage.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, Denver is very, very nice area. Not a lot of black people there, but it was
it's not. They sprinkle themselves in.
You had to know where to go.
right. Yeah, to put it that way. It wasn't really racist.
No.
I felt like there just wasn't a lot of
it just wasn't a lot of black people there. That's all.
You go like the Midwest areas, it's like that.
Yeah.
So you named a few places that you played. Like, can you tell us all of your whole NBA career, which team you played for?
Clippers, San Antonio, Denver, Cleveland, New Jersey was the last, and I retired after that. So.
Yes, and that was 97, right?
Yeah, 97. Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes. What have you been doing since then? Because I know you also had a documentary come out as well that you didn't mention, and I know you're going to talk about it very nonchalantly. And it was a 30 for 30. But it's, what have you been doing since you retired? Because I know, NBA life is totally different than retired life.
Yeah, retired life is a funny thing. You can either plan before you get there, or you can do things while you're in it. And I always wanted to give back to the young kids, so I became a coach. I was a coach, high school coach for 10 years.
Oh wow! Okay.
Nice.
That was some of the best times I had. Helping young kids. I really love doing it. I love going to work and working with young kids to teach them how to play basketball. So I coached for 10 years.
Oh wow!
At private schools and public schools around the metropolitan area.
Mm-hmm.
My last school was Archbishop Carroll High School. That's where Coach Thompson went.
Yeah.
Carroll.
60s. So I had fun doing that. So I always been around kids. I had programs, Shooting Stars, at the school program where we taught kids basketball, homework assistance.
Okay.
My wife was a school teacher, so she would come from school and come and help me run that as far as the school part of it. Then we have books and basketball, pretty much similar in the DC area.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Schools helping kids, homework assistance, same thing, teaching basketball. And I even take them out during the fall when, if they have fall leagues for the young kids who get them ready to play, whoever interested in playing. So that's fun. That's where God had taken me, being a helper, to others really, so that's been my niche right there. I could go out and get college jobs or professional, but I did that life. That life is a tough life. It looks glamorous. They pay a lot of money, but you're on the road. And I did that, and I didn't want to be away from my family, because my kids, when I was playing, they were young. They 6, 7 years old. So I said, no, I'm a stay home. I'm a, put my time into this. So that's what I'm doing today. Not trying to do too much, but just out there. I don't want no 9-to-5 job.
Right.
Yeah.
What about the transition? I've heard stories. The transition right after the NBA, because some guys would say something about they would obviously either play a game, so then they would travel, and then they would just shut it down for a couple of hours. So were you still doing that after you retired, kind of have a meal and then go take a nap? And
I'm still doing that today, Harold. My wife be fussing. You got to do something. You go to work.
Yeah, right.
I can pick and choose what I want to do right now. And I know we're going through a pandemic right now. And I used to, before the pandemic happened, I was going down to the school one afternoon, teaching basketball. I was, 3 to 4 hours. So I really love doing that.
Oh, cool.
Pandemic, we can't do it right now. So whenever everything gets back to normal, I'll do the same thing. I'll do the same.
Oh, cool.
Reggie,
So you currently live in Maryland? Sorry.
Yes, I'm out in the Maryland area. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, state of Maryland. Yep.
All right, cool.
Reggie, would there be one trait that if you were coaching today still, or maybe what you had just done before the pandemic and everything, that you kind of boil it down, or you try to really instill in the youth that you work with that helped drive you to be successful, to help you take your game to that next level, or to power you through those tough games, those tough moments, and maybe not necessarily carrying the cement bricks or the cement blocks up and down the stairs, but just maybe something inside of you that you really felt was contributed to your success as a player?
As I was growing up?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Just being disciplined. It taught me discipline, and I think a lot of kids, is missing that, being disciplined and true to your word, because it's going to take hard work. And you just have to bring it all of it together, because you're going to have people in both of your ears telling you different things, and you just have to be true to yourself and surround yourself with good people. And that's what I did. Through the mess in Baltimore with the drugs and all that other stuff, you just have to have people in your circle that that is true to you, where you can be true to yourself. So I always tell kids at a young age, my experiences, and the same thing I'm telling you, I tell them, just surround yourself with good people, because you don't know everything.
Right.
You always need somebody that can navigate you through all the things that you need to have to be successful. So that's what I did.
Thank you. What would be one of your best memories that you have of Big John Thompson, either playing for him after your career playing at Georgetown? Is there one memory that really sticks out to you that kind of encapsulates the person that he was?
Well, the one thing when you go to Georgetown, you go to Coach Thompson's office, he has an inflated basketball. And what that tells you, that one day the air is going to, leave that ball. And what are you going to do with your life then? So that was the message that, if you talk to any Georgetown player, the first thing you see when you walk in his office is that. And it's like self-explanatory. When the air is gone, that ball can't bounce no more. What is your life going to be about? And so that was the important thing to us when you came in the door, and that's what you left with.
Wow, that's awesome.
That is so powerful.
Oh, and I one quick note. I met a gentleman years and years later, obviously, and he also went to Georgetown. He actually walked onto the team, and his name was Bruce Bryant.
Okay.
And he said that he knew a lot of you guys because he was a walk on and played try to dunk on you guys, Wingate and all those guys a couple of times, but it didn't quite work. Oh, he says he did, but a lot of it was like during practice and stuff like that. And
It was more. He came. It was more a practice player. He didn't get to play in games or whatever.
Yeah.
Liked him because he worked hard. So
Right.
Much a gift to him to come there and practice. I remember Bruce.
Yeah. Brucey, yep, that's my man.
He didn't do any dunking or nothing. He
I'm gonna tell him you said that now.
Put my name to it. Put my name.
All right. So I grew up in Reston, and so my teenage years in Reston, and we used to go to like South Lakes and watch games. And the first person that I saw play was Michael Jackson, and that's actually the first time I ever saw John Thompson in our gym. Michael Jackson was one. For our area, he was like for one of the best players I've ever seen play the game of basketball. Like nobody could take the ball away from him. What was he like in practice playing with him at Georgetown?
Michael was steady. Just like you said, he had a pretty jump shot.
Mm-hmm.
You wasn't going to get the ball out of him. He was consistent. He was disciplined.
Yeah.
And, you couldn't shake him. You know what I mean? If he was having a good game or bad game, he always had that persona about him that you wasn't, he might have looked that way, but in his mind, he still was on track, to do something, good.
Yeah.
He started as a freshman.
Right.
Thompson wanted him, you know what I mean? So he ran that position for all 4 years and was successful at it. He was steady. He was a steady point guard that, hit his open shots, made the right passes. He always made the right play.
Yeah. Yeah. Like it was crazy to watch him in high school and then Georgetown.
It was a difference because he didn't need him to score a whole lot.
Right.
Right. And so Michael, he wasn't looking to shoot every ball.
Mm-hmm.
More like a facilitator, hit his shots and be steady, and that's what needed for him to be so we can be successful.
Yeah, because in high school, man, he used to put up. I'm sure he told you guys.
Yeah. I went to see him play. We were going to play a tournament. I don't know if it happened or not. It was been a long time ago, but Coach Wade and we had drove down to South Lake.
Okay.
And seen the game. So
yeah,
I don't think it ever happened. Yeah,
he used to put up some points. He would tell us kids like, hey man, I used to score a lot of points when I was younger. Nowadays, when he went to Georgetown, he didn't put up as many points in. He would come back to the area and we'd be like, yo man, you used to average like 35 points a game. What's going on? He's like, I'm just doing my job, man. I'm just doing my job.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Which was great, to see for us idolizing somebody and, seeing him be successful in college. And then
he got drafted by Sacramento, played 3 years. So he did reach the highest level basketball, and then he's doing great things now, since he.
Yeah. He was good. Nike and TNT doing all that stuff. I think he one question. Do you still have those shoes that y'all played in the 80s? What was that?
One of them in this frame.
Oh, yeah. Whew. Those are my favorite Nikes ever.
Them in the Georgetown jackets.
Yes. Okay.
Shoes I have no clue about. No, I have
Oh,
no
yeah.
idea.
This was before your time.
I'll take a picture, Bianca, and I'll text it.
Send it to me. Yes.
Yeah, those. I wish I still had mine. I bought a pair. I saved up all my money.
I only have one. Herb. And
Oh, you only had one?
I gave it to my wife, and she got it framed up.
Okay.
Only one shoe. I don't know where the other one is.
Oh, yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah, those are one of my favorite pairs of shoes. And John Thompson was actually one of the first ones to ever get like the shoe contract with for his whole team.
Yeah, the Big East, when they were forming, all the coaches had deals. St. John's, Villanova, all the Boston, the whole Big East.
Mm-hmm.
Thompson was with Nike when Nike wasn't doing so well. So he was with them when they were really at a low point.
Yeah.
He became big when college basketball came around real big. And ESPN started in 78, 79. And that blew up the whole college basketball on TV.
Yeah.
So Thompson was instrumental in that that business right there, and that's when all that stuff blew up. When ESPN came alive.
Yeah.
Dave Gavitt, man, that's when basketball was basketball.
Yeah. What shoe did you play? What shoe company did you wear when you played college? I mean, not college, NBA.
I tried to be with Nike.
Okay.
I wore I think Reeboks one year, but Nike for the majority of my career.
Okay. All right.
Do you still
nowadays the Reggie Williams shoe would have been a hot commodity.
Because I'm like, do you still keep up with shoes? Because I know that it's a big thing in like NBA world, like your shoe. Do you still to this day like keep up with, like, do you care as much about your shoes?
My kids do. I the only shoe I like to wear white Air Force One, the low top, where you can wear them with some nice jeans. You can wear them with shorts. So
that is so Baltimore.
Yeah. Other stuff, all those colors.
Yeah.
Have all those.
That is so Baltimore. Crisp white Air Force One.
The young people get all in those colors. I'm fit.
Yeah.
I can't be wearing all that stuff.
I know. My kids asked me what pair of shoes I wanted for Christmas, and I was like, Air Force Ones.
Yeah.
Why?
That's what they don't know, Herb. They don't know.
They don't know. They don't know. They're comfortable. They look good.
I'm not saying that they don't. I'm saying that they are super DMV.
It sounded like you were making a comment. It sounded like you were going to go there, and you don't want to go there with Air Force Ones.
Yeah.
I do have to say this, like, knowing you for over the past couple of years and talking, you are like one of the most humble individuals out, around. I would have, in the beginning, I would have never known that you would have had this career, just because when you come around, you're so humble about it, right? How did you do that? How are you like that?
I've been like this all my life, Bianca.
Mm-hmm.
People, who see me play or know me, they do much of the talking. I don't. As far as my accomplishments and things like that, I know that they were good, but it's just like, why should I talk about them? Boast about them. You know what I mean? And so it's for people who, can have debates or whatever, but that's how I live my life. You know what I mean? It's some people like to talk about what they did or, what they doing, how much success they had. And I never felt that way.
Yeah.
What about, so do you keep in contact with a lot of the guys still, like Wingate and Pat? Obviously Pat's coaching Georgetown now, so.
Yeah, when I go to the games, I see some of the guys that live in the area.
Okay.
Wingate don't come around a whole lot, but we talk on the phone,
mm-hmm.
or we text and things like that. So,
okay.
But I pretty much know what the guys are doing, around.
Okay. All right, cool. Because I don't know, there's a lot of guys that say, oh yeah, we have this group brotherhood or whatever, and so I don't know how you guys
They just developed a Zoom site for the alumni, the basketball alumni. I think it started a couple of months ago. I haven't been on it yet, but they started that.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Nice.
Times have changed, man. Times have changed.
We got to
Hopefully it
Zoom
gets
see
better
reference
soon.
all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. This has been pretty cool. I really appreciate you, coming on with us and telling us about your career and just bringing us into your world. I really appreciate it.
No problem. I mean, thanks for having me.
Yes. With everything going on right now and the pandemic, Black Lives Matter, all of that jazz, not to bring it up, but to bring it up. Is there anything that you'd like to say to help inspire that next young male, coming up who's trying to just make it, whether it's through sports or just in life?
Just keep pushing. Even though things may not be like you want them, just look for change. And nonviolent, but we have to make that next step. We've been hearing a lot of rhetoric over the years. Sometimes they change some things and then get you to follow, and then they put in the wording that's this what it means. Just make sure that what we fighting for and looking for, that is, concrete, just not lip service. And I think we have the attention of the country, of the world, to do that now. We shouldn't rest. Sometimes, you fight and fight, you get tired. So if that happens, then we need another group, to spell the tired group and let them get their air. But I think the fight got to keep on, and we got to keep pressing. We can't just move this on the side and say, okay, we're going to fight in 3 months or 6 months. No, it has to be a continual thing every day. It has to be changed. It's not going to get better if there's no concrete change. Mm-hmm. It has to be written. It has to be not only written, it got to be in your heart. Because if your heart is rotten, your heart is rotten.
Yeah.
So I don't care how much language you can speak or put on paper. If you got a bad heart, your frame of mind, you're not going to change. So, but it's not only that we have to push; it's the people who have the power. They have to change. Mm-hmm. They got to change their heart. They got to change their heart. But they putting up a fight. They putting up a fight.
Strong fight.
So piggybacking on that, what do you think about the NBA guys now that are trying to invoke a lot of the social injustice and bringing awareness to it as they play in this little bubble, which is another interesting part. So what do you think about that now?
What they're doing, they have the platform. The NBA is giving them a hell of a platform. They have the media there. They got mics. They got cameras. I'm glad they continued playing because, out on the street, they wouldn't be able to get that focus.
Right.
Wouldn't be able to be on TV. They wouldn't have that mic in their face. So I'm glad they're continuing to play. And I know it's a tough situation, but they can invoke change because, with money, that's power. And they can get to these owners who can get to the legislations and all their friends up in high places. And that's where I think the NBA has an advantage over the other sports because it's a players
league.
The players kind of can dictate, their movement. NFL, you got the helmet on, and they have these billionaires who restrict them, and it's just a different thought process. And so I think the NBA can lead the way with that because it's a players league, and they can push, and they got a commissioner that is giving them that platform. The NFL, they're not giving that platform in other sports, but hopefully we can get it done.
Yeah, I hope it changes on all aspects of this nation, and we get to move forward. And I pray that I am able to witness it, but if my kids are able to relish in it, it'll be obviously a bonus. So, Godspeed. Hopefully everything, works out the way these NBA guys are doing it, and then hopefully the NFL, because I don't know, because when you played in your era, a lot of the social injustice was going on, but a lot of players didn't know how to maybe navigate. You had Bill Russell that did it in the 60s, but like there was Kareem was probably one of those guys that always got a bad rep because he was try to focus on it, and the media turned him into some sort of evil person, which
Muhammad Ali, and they did. They kept Kareem, as great as he was, out of the professional league.
Yeah.
Because of that. I mean, that spanned from 40 years.
Right.
Stuff when he was 20, for the fight, and they didn't, they respected his career, but they didn't respect him as a man. Him out of the NBA. I mean, he's the leading points, 6-time champion. Considered. I know everybody say Michael is the GOAT, but how could Michael be the GOAT? And when you have somebody that's already did it,
That sounds like another show. Let's not start that, Reggie.
Right now, man. So
I mean, why isn't Bill Russell the GOAT? He has 11 titles.
That's right. Then we can have debate about that. Yep.
Right.
Titles, coaching and playing.
Yeah. Like who nobody's ever done that, but they don't talk about him in that light, even though players do. Because when I went to the Hall of Fame for Grant Hill's induction, that every player that I spoke to Mo Cheeks, and he was like, in my opinion, Bill Russell's the GOAT. And as soon as he said that, Bill Russell walks in, and I'm like, and he's like, and there goes the GOAT right there. So like, other players say it, but for me, the media have latched onto Michael, which is understandable. He's brought a lot of focus on basketball, so he's a GOAT in that way. And
my favorite player is Magic Johnson. So
right,
Nice.
Be better than that to me.
Right.
Everybody better. So that's my favorite player.
I felt like you, as if you were playing in this era, I think you might have been like more like a point guard, and in that way too, because you could score and take care. I mean, I watched you, so I admired your game a lot. I thought you could do a whole lot more in this era, because your game would have translated it way better as a player because of your multifaceted.
It was basically, back when I was playing, you was a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah.
Position player, positionless.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that would have been fun to see. I mean, it was great watching you then, but it's probably, if we could morph into bringing you into this era too,
more individual.
Yeah. Yeah.
Back then it was team, and if you shot more than 10 threes, that was a lot. People looked at you shot 10 threes, you got Houston shooting 63.
63.
Unbelievable to me. I say they shooting another 3.
Yeah.
I just wore out watching basketball. I'm a basketball fan, but I just get wore out when teams just shooting 3-pointers at the 3-pointers at the
3-pointers.
What is going on? And back, just like I said, back in my day, if you shot 10 as a team, that was a whole lot.
Yeah. But you probably would have made it. You probably would have made a bunch yourself though, because I
would have been shooting them up too.
Yeah. So man, we appreciate you coming on with us. This was very good information. I'm glad that I finally get to meet you, even though it's not in person. And I think also it gives the audience a different light on you too as well. So I appreciate you. And I appreciate what you do for the kids, because in my small way, I try to do a little bit like that too. working at the Y
And you're
trying to
small.
teach kids basketball. You know, not as big as his. You know, I teach him a little bit. I teach the really young ones.
You got the babies.
Yeah, I get the babies. I even have little B is what I call her, but
She want to come over, and she gets excited because she used to call him Couch Herb.
yeah.
I'm gonna go play with Couch Herb. Okay.
So Bianca, she likes to play. Your daughter like to play?
If you bring out a ball, she'll play with you. She just wants you to be right there.
Basketball, soccer, all of that.
Yep. When she playing with your son Reggie, he'll take her, and I don't see her until it's time for them to go.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so he'll get her. He's gonna probably have her doing whatever, because I feel like sometimes she's super girly, but he'll have her playing because she is right up under his arm all the time.
Well, she's been that way since she's been a baby.
Correct.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for coming on. It's been
invited me, and if you need another guest anytime during the year or next year.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. We were just about to say that we have some ideas in our head about, what we're thinking about for our next season. So we'll talk about it and have you back on, and hopefully you like the concept of where we're going with it.
I like it. Keep on doing it. It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right. Appreciate it. I really appreciate you coming on. Georgetown is, one of my top teams and that era especially was probably one of my favorite times of growing up, so
okay.
I appreciate you. And I'm glad that,
Oh yeah.
Y'all match, yeah.
I'm not quite there yet, but I'm getting there. I'm not full.
You only got this part, Herb. This part is just missing, man.
Yeah, it's just missing a little bit, but it'll get there. It's all wisdom,
Yep,
Wisdom. Appreciate you, man.
Yes.
Thank you
Until
for
next
coming
time.
on.
Yeah.
Tell the family we said hi, and
Absolutely.
God bless you.
Same here.
All right. Thanks.
The Real to Real podcast is presented by Herbert Williams Beffo and Bianca Mosquitis. Our producer is Ben Runyon. Our technical director is Nick Patry. Audio and video lead is Megan Kottner. If you enjoyed this episode, please follow and like us on Facebook and Instagram at Real to Real, and subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean, or anywhere else podcasts are found. While you're at it, if you found value in this show, we'd appreciate a rating on iTunes. It's been real with Coach Herb and B.